Well, these races I take very personally, and none more so than the race for the Senate in Texas. And you should too, America. Because you, this audience, you were responsible for the nomination of Ted Cruz in the state of Texas, among others. And when nobody gave him a chance, you helped carry him over the finish line. And he's been one of the greatest senators I've ever seen. That's for sure. And we did that as part of the Tea Party movement, which we were also very much involved in here and promoting here. And now we're in the Liberty movement to save our country before it's too late. And here's Ted Cruz running for re-election, and the same forces, the same ruling class, except they're spending $100 million to defeat him. Now, look, when they defeated Ted Cruz or they defeated Donald Trump, they're defeating us. They've called us neo-Nazis. They've called us garbage. It's the ruling class in Washington. They hate our guts. And so when we have soldiers out there, generals out there, who are trying to either hold their spots or take other spots, we've got to get behind them because they're there for us. They're not there for their own ego. On the left, it's their ego. Our guys are not. Senator Ted Cruz, how are you, sir?
Mark, I'm doing terrific. We are crisscrossing the state of Texas in the middle of a 53-stop bus tour, and it is always great to be with you, my friend.
All right, my brother. So tell us how it looks right now. I know it's very, very tight. Do you feel things are moving in one direction or the other, or you don't know and you're just fighting like hell?
Well, it is a full-on epic battle. The Texas Senate race is now the single most expensive Senate race in the entire country. Chuck Schumer has been explicit. I'm his number one target, and they are spending over $100 million trying to defeat me, literally every day or two. Schumer and George Soros put millions more into the race. Right now, if you turn on the TV in any city in Texas, just about every other ad you see on TV is an attack ad. They're coming at me. I will tell you the public polling, there has been poll after poll after poll. There have been more than a dozen polls in the last month that show this as a 1-point or a 2-point or a 3-point race. There was one poll last week that showed me and this radical left-wing Democrat, Colin Allred, tied in the race. I don't know where we are. I am encouraged that we're seeing a good Republican turnout in early vote, but we are just going 18 hours a day. We're campaigning on the ground, trying to turn people out, and the way we are fighting back against this onslaught of cash from Chuck Schumer and George Soros is patriots across Texas and across America who are going to tedcruz.org, and who are contributing, giving $10 or $25 or $50 or $100 or even more. And it's, it's the only way we counteract this massive money. And we're at the stage, Mark, it is literally every day. We look at all the money that came in that day and we put it all up on TV and all up on digital and all up on connecting with voters. We are 6 days away from Election Day, and it is hand to mouth. So for your listeners, if you go to tedcruz.org right now and you contribute right now and you give $100, the $100 you give tomorrow will be up on TV in Texas, trying to make sure we turn out conservatives and trying to make sure the voters know the truth about my record and the radical open borders, anti-Israel leftist Colin Allred on the other side.
And by helping you and so forth, you also help Donald Trump, you help the down ballot, these various congressional seats and other seats, correct?
Absolutely, yes. We are turning people out. So at every event we have across the state, we have congressional candidates show up. We have local and state candidates. So we're trying to do turnout to help the ballot up and down the ticket. But look, Texas is the big enchilada for the Democrats, particularly Chuck Schumer is looking at this race. Right now, the Democrats have a 51-49 majority. Republicans are leading in 2 states. We're leading in West Virginia. We're going to win there, and we're leading in Montana. If we win West Virginia and Montana, that would give Republicans a 51-49 majority in the Senate. Schumer's looking at those same polls, and the only way Schumer can stay majority leader is to come to Texas and take me out. My last race, I won by less than 3 points. The margin was 2.6%. And so Chuck Schumer is looking at that and saying, okay, all I need is 3 points in Texas. And I, number one, take out Cruz. And there is nobody in the country other than Donald Trump that Chuck Schumer would rather take out than me. But number two, if they win Texas, that could give Chuck Schumer the 50th vote he needs to be majority leader. to end the filibuster and to permanently change this country. As AOC and Bernie Sanders said when they came to Texas to campaign for Colin Allred, they said, if we win Texas, we change America for a generation. They know what the stakes are. They win this race, and it becomes irreversible, the damage that is done to this country.
Mm-hmm. Now, also, when it comes to your race, the free media in Texas, they're constantly attacking you. They're constantly trying to undermine you. So he has all the free media, and there's so many people in Texas, these big cities too, that it's really impossible to go toe to toe. So you have to hope that so many patriots in Texas who are familiar with you, or familiar with the courageous stances you have taken, understand that you're taking on the free media, you're taking on $100 million in paid propaganda, and you're taking on, in many respects, the Washington, D.C. ruling class that simply cannot tolerate somebody like you.
Look, that is absolutely right. So Chuck Schumer is flooding cash into this race. Unfortunately, Mitch McConnell is not spending a penny in Texas. Mitch has over $400 million in the biggest Republican super PAC in the country. He has not spent a dime. So I'm taking incoming from Chuck Schumer every single day, and Mitch McConnell is nowhere to be found, which means, and the reason is, Mitch uses that super PAC to reward senators who obey his orders and to punish those who don't. And you know what? I don't work for Mitch McConnell. I work for 30 million Texans, and I'm going to honor that commitment and fight for them and stand up to the Washington swamp. But what it means is, without those resources, Schumer's spending the swamp's money against me. And the only way I can counteract that is patriots across Texas and across this country who listen to your show, Mark, who love America, who love the Constitution, who love freedom, and who go to tedcruz.org right now, who go to tedcruz.org and contribute. That's the only way to counteract the attacks that are coming in every hour of every day right now.
You've been endorsed by Donald Trump. You've been endorsed by conservatives and constitutionalists in Texas and all over the country. The idea of taking you out, and ladies and gentlemen, they want to take Ted out because they want to take us out. Let's just be honest. We are constitutionalists. We are conservatives. That's what Ted is. He's not. They pretend he's controversial. You're controversial now if you believe in Judeo-Christian beliefs, if you want to secure a border and support the cops. You're controversial now if you don't think kids should get sex change operations, certainly not without parental notification. You don't think men should play in boys in women's sports. In other words, everything's turned inside out and upside down, and Ted's the point of the spear. So they want to defeat him, so his voice, they hope, is silenced. So our voice is silenced. Again, they've been calling us neo-Nazis, garbage, right-wing extremists, MAGA. I mean, we are patriotic American citizens who want to protect our country for our kids and our grandkids. And that's your message, basically, isn't it, Ted?
Absolutely, yes. What I fight for every day is jobs, freedom, and security. I fight for the Constitution, your free speech, your religious liberty, your Second Amendment rights. And listen, I'm not afraid of the left. The reason they're coming after me, look, if you want to see just the intensity of the hatred from the left, take a look at the Democrat National Convention in Chicago. When my opponent, Colin Allred, spoke there, he spoke for 3 minutes. Nobody on planet Earth remembers a word the guy said. But when he was done, the entire stadium spontaneously burst into chanting, "Beat Ted Cruz." 20,000 elected Democrats. By the way, no other elected official got that treatment. I got to tell you, Mark, I'm pretty proud of that. These SOBs are trying to destroy America, and they see me as standing directly in their way. And they're right. I'm going to fight with every breath in my body to stop their Marxist endeavors and their efforts to open up the borders and invade this country and destroy our liberties and take down the Constitution. And they know that. But I got to tell you, Colin Allred raised over $1 million in the 24 hours that followed that. And so the money is flooding in on the other side. And the counter to that is great Americans who love our nation going to tedcruz.org and saying, we're not going to let you come in and try to buy the state of Texas. And I got to say, you and I talked about on your TV show this weekend, the consequences of a loss. Now, look. We all hope we have a great election 6 days from now. We hope Trump is reelected. I'm all in trying to help President Trump get reelected. But every one of these swing states is close. They're 1 or 2 points. So if, God forbid, it is a bad election, if, God forbid, Kamala Harris is the president, I think we are likely in that circumstance to lose the House as well. I think the White House and the House move in tandem. If that happens, the Senate is the last check and balance, a Republican Senate. And if Schumer succeeds in taking me out, if he gains 3 points in Texas, right now Chuck Schumer has 49 votes to end the filibuster. The filibuster is the requirement of 60 votes to take up major legislation. Colin Allred has pledged to be the 50th vote. If he succeeds and Allred wins, he gets 3 points in Texas. Here's what January looks like. January of next year, Chuck Schumer, number one, would end the filibuster, and then he would pass 4 pieces of legislation in rapid succession. He would, number one, have a federal takeover of every election in America and strike down every election integrity law in every state. Every photo ID law he would strike down. He would legalize ballot harvesting in every state in the union. Number two, he would add 2 new states to the union, D.C. and Puerto Rico. He would do that because the Democrats believe that would give them 4 new Democrat senators, so Democrats would never again lose the Senate. Number three, he would grant amnesty and immediate voting rights to every illegal alien in America, 20 to 30 million across the country. The instant that happened, Texas would turn blue. Every statewide elected official in Texas would lose the next election. The governor would lose, the lieutenant governor would lose, the attorney general would lose, all 9 Republican Supreme Court justices would lose. Texas would become California. And number 4, they would pack the U.S. Supreme Court. They would add 4 left-wing justices, grow it from 9 to 13 Supreme Court justices, and take away our free speech, our religious liberty, and our Second Amendment rights. And Mark, what's terrifying, I don't believe a word I said there is hyperbole. Chuck Schumer has 49 votes to do all of that. And if Colin Allred wins in Texas, he will have 50, and we are literally 1 vote away from an irreversible situation where if that happens, there's nothing to do to turn it around. There's no subsequent election. Nope. Democracy dies in America if Chuck Schumer fundamentally changes this country. That's what's at stake in this election.
And that is what Kamala Harris and the rest of them did in California. Republicans can't win. They changed the election laws. They packed the courts. They have supermajorities in their legislature. They have enormous power, and they just keep empowering themselves over and over and over again. And then they go through what I call these Potemkin elections. They go through elections, which the outcome is already known in advance. You make a very, very important point. So, folks, please help Ted. This is probably his last appearance before the day of the election, Tuesday. You can go to tedcruz.org, tedcruz.org. Do whatever you can to help him out, folks. And in Texas, you need to volunteer. You need to get people out to vote. You got to do what you got to do. You've got to be the Minutemen of 2024. And by that, I mean turn out the vote, get to the voting places, and make sure you bring other people with you. Any final word, Ted?
Well, I will say if you're in Texas, please come out and vote. Early voting continues this week through Friday. If you haven't voted yet, please come out and vote. And if you have voted, get your friends to vote. Get your family to vote. Election day is Tuesday. We need as many people as possible to show up and vote. And I will just say, you're going to tedcruz.org. Listen, I'm not someone who cries wolf. In prior cycles, I spent thousands of hours campaigning for conservatives, for Republicans across the country. This race is a real race. It's a real fight. I need your help. And I will say, if on Wednesday of next week you woke up and Kamala Harris was the president, and we had a Democratic House, and Chuck Schumer was majority leader, and they permanently changed the rules, and the country was lost, if you would feel horrified, if you would feel sick to your stomach, if you would weep for our nation, use all of that sentiment and channel it into right now, standing up and stopping it, going to tedcruz.org, giving sacrificially so that we can make sure that doesn't happen. I don't believe it's going to happen, but it's not going to happen because of your leadership, your sacrifice, your love for America. You're going to tedcruz.org right now and saying, we will defend this great nation. We will defend the Constitution.
All right, Ted, go get him, baby. I guess on this bus tour, you get to stop at a lot of diners. You know, if I wasn't limping around on one leg, I might go with you. I love these diners, especially in Texas.
There's a ton of barbecue and a ton of amazing Mexican food, and Mark will save it for you.
All right, my brother. Keep it in the freezer then. All right.
All right. God bless.
Ted Cruz, good man. God bless you as well. That's tedcruz.org, folks.